Well, howdy YouTube, Marshall Bailey here. Glad you tuned in today. Today, I come in off the porch and come inside my little studio here because the wind is blowing, I don't know, 50, 60 mile an hour at times out there. It's a rough one today as far as wind goes. Nice enough day other than that, but what's going on is it's blowing in another storm, and it's kind of building off to the south and west of here, so it'll probably come rolling in about another hour or so, I don't know. But anyway, I sure appreciate you stopping by. Today I thought I'd smoke this pipe here. This is one that I got off of eBay not too awful long ago, and got it for a pretty good price. And it is a Spitfire by Lorenzo. But anyway, I just kind of like the shape of it. I sort of like to look at those pipes sometimes that are freestyle, you know. And then today I'm going to be smoking a little tobacco here that I got about Christmas time, and it's made by Hearth Home. It's called Eggnog. I guess I'm getting in the Christmas spirit already because I'm a Christmassy sort of guy. But anyway, it says on the back here that well, it doesn't really say what kind of tobacco is in it, but it just says a bite-free blend that'll please anyone in the room. So you ought to take that around some of your non-smoking friends, I guess. It says here it'll make them happy. It says, let the rum, vanilla, cinnamon, and nutmeg bring the holidays to you all year long. So there you go. Anyway, it does have a nice smell to it. Like I say, I've had it for a while, and I just kind of take a little bit out of the can whenever I think about it and give it a try. Well, I mean, I give it more than a try, I give it a smoke. And it seems to be pretty good stuff. This particular pipe has got a pretty good sized bowl on it, really. So, you know, it'll give me a smoke of about probably 20 minutes or so, maybe. I don't know. I never did really time it all that much. But anyway, today I'm using my old tamper. That's a 30-30 shell, Winchester, spent. That's probably maybe a pretty good idea, I don't know. But anyway, I hope you and yours are doing good. It's probably about 80 degrees out. It's not as real hot. But I think with the rain and stuff that's coming up, that it'll probably cool things down. As I mentioned before, it's been a real wet year around here. Well, I think I mentioned it in my other video. I'll give that just one more pass here. It's a pretty mild tobacco. It got a little bit of a just a little bit of a bite to it if you smoke it too hard. but I don't try to get into any race or anything else with it. Today, I thought I'd introduce you to what I consider to be, and many historians around Dodge City, the best book ever written on Dodge. Now, there are two kind of historians around Dodge City. You find out early on. First of all, there's the true historians, the ones who stick by the facts. And then you have what I call the Hollywood historians, and that's the ones who go after the stories that were embellished about Dodge City. Stories that are not quite true. A lot of those were made up by Wyatt Earp himself. But we'll get all that a little bit later. But anyway, this was written by Frederick Young, who's still alive. Dodge City Up Through the Years. I would recommend that book to anyone who is serious about studying Dodge City. Now, just to give you a little synopsis on Dodge, the Santa Fe Trail went from St. Joe, Missouri, clear down to Santa Fe, New Mexico, one of the most heavy traveled trails of the Old West. A lot of commerce went up and down that trail, including military. And so the government put these forts all up and down the trail to protect commerce up and down the trail from the Indian raids that was going on. Out in our neck of the woods, one of those forts was Fort Dodge. Now, Fort Dodge was kind of it was a going concern. A lot of, it was not only the fort itself, but it was a village built around there, and a lot of that village was just travelers that come through and set up their wagons there and just stayed there. Fort Dodge was not a walled fort. It was a prairie fort. And so, for protection against Indian attacks, the buildings had thick walls and X's cut into the walls for gun ports. And so, whenever the fort needed a little protection, that's where they'd go, inside of these buildings, and shoot outside. But anyway, so here's Fort Dodge out here, and this was right after the Civil War. And there's only one problem. Well, there were several problems. One of them was there's a lot of saloons there in this little village I'm talking about that was built around this fort. And oftentimes the soldiers would be so drunk that they couldn't go out on patrol. So the commander of the fort kicked all the saloons off the fort. And there's a couple of guys that ran one of them saloons, went by the name of George Hoover and John McDonald. Well, they decided to go outside the fort and set up a saloon out there on the Santa Fe Trail. Well, around Fort Dodge there was a 5-mile radius. That was all military ground. The fort owned it. So they tied a red rag around one of their wagon wheels and stepped off exactly 5 miles to the west dropped their wagon tongue and started selling whiskey for 20 cents a ladle right there beside the trail. Well, you know the soldiers, they ain't gonna quit drinking. 5 miles wasn't much of a ride, so they'd ride out there. Travelers up and down the trail would stop in, buy whiskey from them. It wasn't long these guys got rich and quick. Built them a nice building. Some other guys seen what they was doing, and so they moved in a few other saloons, little stores, brothels. Wasn't long Dodge City sprung up right there. And they named it Dodge City after Fort Dodge, which was named after Grenville Dodge. And it flourished, because just about the time they got that thing built, you know, here come all the buffalo hunters. Now, the eradication of the buffalo was a strategic military move by the United States government to get rid of the Indians. That's why they did it. Now, I tell folks this. Let's imagine you was an Indian. And from time immemorial, all your people knew was the buffalo. It was your food, it was your shelter, it was your religion, everything. Now, in your lifetime, within 5 years, the buffalo are all gone. What are you going to do? That's all you know. Well, so you just submit to the government, and that was the reason for the eradication of the buffalo. People say how many buffaloes killed. Well, this is a fact. We got bills of lading at the courthouse in Dodge that show boxcars of smoked buffalo tongues leaving Dodge City. So I would ask you, how many buffalo tongues does it take to fill up a boxcar? Well, there you go. Thousands of them. Well, just about the time the buffalo trade fizzled out, here come the cattle drives. And that's a whole different story, but the cattle drive started from about 1875 to 1885. The interesting thing about the cattle drives was they first started out in eastern Kansas. And I'm talking Baxter Springs. That's as far as east as you can get. That's out there by Missouri. And the longhorn cattle, they didn't know what was causing this at the time. But all they knew about longhorn cattle was that they carried splenic fever, which was caused by a tick. And Kansas already had a cattle industry going before they started driving longhorns up here. But anytime those longhorns get near domesticated cattle, they would get sick and drop over dead. So the Kansas Cattle Association, along with the state legislature, started banning cattle drives from the east to the west in sections. And that's how come towns like Baxter Springs and Caldwell, Abilene, Wichita, Ellsworth were all cow towns for about 2 years. Got out to Dodge City, we were so sparse in population out there, and it's so open range that, and we had some crooked politicians. Dodge City held on to the trade for 10 years. And that's how come Dodge City is called the Queen of the Cow Towns. So that kind of gives you an idea a little bit about how Dodge City got started, and maybe here as we go along I can tell you a little bit about law enforcement and all these guys that were there, Bat Masterson, White Earp, and Doc Holliday. All them guys was here at one time or other. And but anyway, like I say, there she is. That is the true, honest to goodness history of Dodge City right there. And all these stories I'm relating to you come out of this book. This book is just clear full of pictures, maps. The streets of Dodge City haven't changed a bit since they laid them down. They've changed the names of some of them, but they're just in the same place that they always were. And whenever you look back on these old maps that's in this book, they have these different places marked where all these events happened around Dodge City, and where all these different guys lived, you know, and so you can take those old maps and put them up against new maps of Dodge, and since the streets are the same, even though the buildings have changed, you can tell where these events happened, and that's kind of fun. But it's just clear full of pictures, and this is just, if you're interested in Old West history, I cannot speak enough about this book. You can get it from the Kansas Heritage Center, and you can find that online. Just put that in Google sometime, Kansas Heritage Center. And the book is called Dodge City, Up Through a Century in Stories and Pictures. I'm not trying to sell a book, I'm just trying to tell you that if you're interested in the history of Dodge, that's the book for you. So that's all I kind of wanted to talk about today. But it is a windy day outside today, and it's windy to the point of being miserable. We get some pretty good winds out here. Matter of fact, that's what the word Kansas means, is south wind. And this is Kansas. Winds out of the south. Blowing like a banshee. Good night. I got a couple of flags flying outside this building. One of them is the good old glory, and the other one's the stars and bars. I guess I fly the stars and bars because I know some folks don't like it. I don't care what folks think. That's why I do it. Oh, I wanted to show you too. I mentioned that I was a professional artist. This is one I just finished. This is of the old high school in Cimarron, Kansas. This is where I went to school. I'm looking around the edge of it, not to try to get in the picture, but to try to see what I'm doing. I got a monitor facing me. Anyway, that's where I went to school, over in Cimarron, which is about 16 miles west of Dodge. Been around Dodge City most of my life. I was born in Gate, Oklahoma. If you look on the map of Gate, Oklahoma, you know Oklahoma shaped like this. Gate's right here. First town inside the Panhandle. Little bitty town. Actually, I was born on a farm 4 miles to the east of Gate, so I was born just right inside the hand. Just barely, right there. On a farm, in a farmhouse. Back in those days, there wasn't no telephone, and of course no TV, nothing like that. Had a couple of electric lights, outhouse. I was born in the same bed as my brother and 2 of my cousins, but not at the same time. The old house I was born in, they don't really know how old that thing was. And here in the last few years, I guess, termites had kind of got to it, and they had to tear it down. But when I was born, my mother, that was the first time she seen the doctor. Doctor came out the house, delivered me, charged $10. All the rest of her life, my mother tried to get her money back. Now, one of the stories that they like to tell about my particular birth was that doctor, when he was leaned over delivering me and doing all that stuff, he had a couple of cigars in his pocket. And in the middle of everything, them cigars just fell out and dropped down there where all the business was going on. And Mom said he just picked them back up and stuck them in his pocket and kept going. Maybe that's why I like cigars. I don't know. Never could figure that one out. Oh, anyway, I got to talking so much and got so windy about it that my pipe went out. But anyway, it's not bad tobacco. I don't like it as well as what I was smoking the other day, but it's okay. Might give that a try and see what you think. Holidays coming up and everything. But anyway, I think I'll close on out of here and let you get back to what you was doing. I appreciate you stopping by, and till the next video, why, this is Dodge City Marshal Alan Bailey, and we'll catch you later.
Ha ha ha!